good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be. Good evening, whatever. I see there's five of you already out there, and if you'll say hello in the chat room, I'll be able to say hello back to you. Um, but let's bring Mary out real quick so we can say hello to her. Hey, there's Mary. She's actually chatting now. Hey, Mary. Oh, you're on mute. There she is. How you
You're on
doing?
mute. Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you. It's good to be live streaming again.
It is. It's been a whole week.
Yeah, it has been a whole week, and it seems like it's been. Oh, Robert, how you doing? Mary and Mary, you're here. I'm sorry.
I'm here. Yeah.
Um, I have to tell you, just before going on, I've been doing how many live streams I've done now. I have no idea, but just before going on, I am so nervous. And if you ever look at any of these past live streams, I'm a mess during the first 3 or 4 minutes. I don't even know how to get anything out. So, but then after a while, I kind of relax. John, good to see you there. Welcome to the live stream. Nice to have you. So today we're going to be talking about just dealing with, I guess, regular anxiety that comes from the world that we live in today. I remember when was it a couple weeks ago, I guess, the Russians were bombing a nuclear reactor. And I was like fixated on that, and I'm like, what in the hell is this world come to? And it was just a very I don't know, not unsettling thing to watch, obviously. And then keeping the news on constantly to keep up with what is happening over there. And it can be too much. We can get information so easily. So I've got a couple of articles from a website called The Conversation that we can use as talking points about how to deal with this barrage of information and just the world, the what's going on, and how we can relate that to staying sober. So I hope that we can get a good discussion out of that. I think that we can. Hey, Tim, nice to see you. Welcome to the live stream. And Barb, good to see you too. So before we get started, let's talk about what has happened this past week and what we've got coming up. So last week we had our weekly meeting. If you're not familiar with this, every Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central, we have a weekly listener meeting for listeners of the podcast. And basically, we have a speaker. Hey, Gilbert. Or Fred, we have a speaker who was a guest from a previous episode come on, and they talk for like about 30 minutes, and then we open the floor up and for discussion. And we've had some great guests. Last week we had Leah Laux, the author of Fireflies: Finding Light on a Journey Through Addiction, on as a guest, and I thought she did a great job. You were at that meeting, weren't you, Mary?
I was. And she is a natural speaker and she's just a great writer. I like the way she writes. You can read her book quickly. It's a small book, but she basically told her story of what happened when her husband um, went to rehab, and
Yeah.
just kind of her story, and then how she got in Al-Anon and what Al-Anon continues to do for her. And it was a powerful story, and I really appreciated the way she was very present in when she spoke to people. And she's a very generous in spirit kind of person. And her story's great. If you know anyone that could use Al-Anon or has someone in their life that is using or drinking, it's a good book. I recommend it.
I would too. I mean, so well written. It was a pleasure to read. I think it
It
took me like
was.
4 hours to read it. It wasn't it
Yeah,
wasn't it wasn't a long read,
not at all.
but I enjoyed it. It was a good experience. And I remember as I was reading it, I was like, at first, I mean, I got to know her a little bit better as I was reading the book. At first, it was like I felt like, man, she's got it all together. She is so with it, and she's taking care of things. And then later on, you learn as she learns about herself that she had a lot to work on herself. And I like the fact that she focused on her recovery, let
Yes.
him focused on his recovery.
Yes.
And it was just really cool. But then she also was very honest about when he came back from rehab. It wasn't all a bed of roses
No,
either.
it wasn't. No. And I
So,
think she said it's been like 2.5 years since that happened in 2019. And she
yeah.
felt part of her, when he came back, she just felt like writing really helped her. And when she left it, writing was her healing balm. So
Hmm.
she just wrote everything. And then she wanted to give back, and she thought her story would help someone else. And I guarantee it will.
Yeah,
It
I
will be
think so
helping lots
too.
of people.
I
Yeah.
think so too.
Hmm.
I did recommend it to my mother-in-law who's in Al-Anon, and I haven't had a chance to talk to her to see if she's read it yet. So
Yeah.
anyway, next week should be interesting. Brace yourself for this. John Huey will be the guest speaker. I don't really know what he's going to talk about. I was talking to him beforehand, and he told me that he wanted to talk about how his long-term sobriety informs his recovery in some way. I don't know. John is a lot smarter than me, to be honest with you, and I have a hard time
It's hard to
getting.
follow sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not as intellectual. I'm not putting it down. I mean, it's great to think. I'm all for it, but I'm like, anyway, he is a great speaker, no doubt about that, and he's always interesting to listen to. So please come to that. I think it'll be fun.
He is
So
always interesting.
he
Always.
is. He
Yeah.
is.
There's
Yeah.
nothing boring about John Huey ever.
No, no, he's very interesting and thought provoking for sure. So
Yeah,
that should be
he
a
is. I
very,
appreciate his passion.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I do
I
too.
appreciate
I do
that about
too.
him. Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yep.
So that will be coming up next Tuesday. And then, as always, if you wanted to schedule a meeting with me, just to chat with me individually, you can do that on my calendar. I'll go ahead and put a link in there for that. I've had several of these conversations, and they've been really, really good for me and nice. I'm kind of using this podcast, to be honest with you, as my source of recovery, my primary source of recovery capital, I guess. And so these conversations that I have with listeners is like a little meeting for me. And the Tuesday meetings and these live streams and all the episodes I do have really done a lot to build my recovery capital. So please feel free to book some time with me to chat if you'd like to, and come to those Tuesday meetings. And also, if you wanted to appear as a guest on the podcast, I'm in need of guests now. Or if you'd like to come on a live stream, here's a little link where you can fill out a form and send us a contact form. I think, Mary, you're going to invite a guest for next week.
Yes, I'm going to invite someone for next week. I have no idea yet who it will
Okay.
be. I'll look locally, and then I'll just look, worldwide too, and see who I
Yeah.
can find. Someone that I would like to talk to. I do have. We'll see. So tune in next week. I have no idea yet,
Okay.
but we are open to any suggestions that y'all have about people you would want to talk to, topics you would like to talk about. Are there any recovery groups that you would like to hear from? Like John and I were talking earlier about, there's a meeting called Artists in Recovery. And I haven't been to one of their meetings, but I've always been curious. So I'd like to hear from somebody in that group. I mean, there's just so much we could talk
Yeah,
about.
there truly
Yeah, we
is.
are open to suggestion.
All right. So Tyler says that Huey's podcast interviews taught him that he doesn't have to apologize for his atheism or feel shame about intellectualizing his recovery. Well, that's really interesting. That's good to know. Thank you.
Really
Thank you,
good to
Tyler.
know. Yeah.
All right. So let's get into today's topic. So where do we begin with this? Mary, it was kind of your idea. Do you want to kind of
Sure.
introduce it? Well,
Yeah.
and we do have a couple of articles we could use for talking points, but why don't you kind of let us
Okay.
know what you're thinking about?
So what I was thinking about, which has been a life changing sort of event in the world, is that the invasion of Ukraine, and all the feelings that come with that um, world event that is going on, that has affected me, and um, it it can't just be me that it's affecting. And so it has been difficult seeing the videos on TV and social media, and just um, knowing what to do with the feelings and knowing how to help. There's a sort of, I feel sort of helpless, but I also feel afraid. Like, what's going to happen? Are we going to have to, is a nuclear button going to be pushed? Like, what does it mean for the world? And then a sense of rage that something more isn't being done to stop it. And just the sense of helplessness and fear and anxiety. And so, um, how do I deal with that on a daily basis? What can I do to modify those feelings so they don't get out of control? And then I feel sort of it can give me a sense of funk um, and escapism. So now it's like I've gotten to the point where I don't want to look at it and I don't want to look at the articles. I don't want to see the people on the ground talking about what's going on. I don't want to see the people. I just can't. I can't do it for my own sense of well-being. I feel that it's too much for my nervous system, and so I've been um, not watching the normal shows I normally watch in the evenings that are news shows. I just don't do that, and I've been concentrating on watching things that are light and cozy and funny, and so I'm kind of in the escape route right now. I know other people in my world have helped send money to in various ways to Ukraine for help. Um, or I know some people that are working here with refugees, um, Afghani refugees. I mean, there's a way to like at least send money or help here, or just be supportive online. I mean, those are all ways. But I would love for people to talk about how it has affected them, and what are you doing to cope with it, and how does it affect you, and if it does, how do you deal with that in terms of your own emotional well-being in recovery?
And I'll open the phone lines up so that all throughout this, you all can call in to let us know how you feel and how you're doing with this. I'll read a little bit from this article, one of the articles from the conversation, and it's titled "Ukraine Doom Scrolling Can Harm Your Cognition as Well as Your Mood. Here's what to do about it." So it says many people have experienced chronic stress since the pandemic lockdowns. Added to this are the climate crisis, the increasing cost of living, and most recently, threats to European and global security due to the conflict in Ukraine. To some, it may seem that there is never any good news anymore. This, of course, is not true. But when we're doom scrolling, and I've never really heard of that term doom scrolling before, but I understand what it is, spending an excessive amount of screen time devoted to reading negative news, we can become locked into thinking it is. Doom scrolling can promote feelings of anxiety and depression. For example, consider how sad and exhausted you may feel when watching a drama with a tragic events and sad music in the background. In contrast, if you watch a funny film or romantic comedy with lively music, you may feel upbeat and energized. This is due to two psychological phenomena: mood induction and intervention can change our mood and empathy. So, yeah, and Barbara already has a comment there. Thanks, Mary. She can't either. She saw her in this image that she can't forget. And I tell you, I was reading one of these articles and it addressed a feeling that I have about this. And it's guilt for my own feelings about it because God damn it, I'm not over there getting bombed. You know, those it's just, but the fact of the matter is that you do have to deal with whatever is going on in one's life, you know, and so I'm dealing with what I have to deal with, and I'm grateful that it's at the level that it's at, but it's still something that I have to be aware of. It's so easy, I guess, with how the news is delivered now, or how not even news, how information is delivered now. It's straight from the source. You know, and it comes through social media. You can access it 24/7. You're working from home. You can listen to it throughout the day, and it can be overwhelming. And I think that there needs to be a balance, at least for me, between being informed and being oversaturated with the anxiety and worry about what's happening. And how to find that balance is always tricky. One little thing that I do is I will just say, you know what, this is too much. I'll turn my phone on to like a easy listening jazz station or whatever, and then sometimes go for walks. But it's really just a matter of being aware of what's happening. And sometimes, honestly, I'm not aware of the built up.
Right. Yes, agree. I feel that my sleep has been affected since the whole thing has started, and I do have to be careful watching anything that is too upsetting before I go to sleep. Um, in the alternatives that I've been watching, Netflix stuff, I have to make sure it's all kind of happy and chill and not something that is upsetting. I just feel like I've reached the limit of what can affect my nerves at this point, and so I have to take care of myself and kind of do soothing things at this point. And last night I was unloading the dishwasher and I just thought, here I am, safe in my house, living my life. And, those poor people in Ukraine have their house living their lives. And, I did feel guilty that I was just had everything. I'm so grateful for what I have, but I did feel kind of guilty because I'm an empathetic person and I'm thinking, I'm not in fear of being bombed and, I'm not having to run and just all that stuff. Um, and I'm just not able to tune it out. So I do agree with you that balance is really important and self-care is really important at this time. And also I think talking about it,
Yes,
is.
talking about it. And sometimes, and there's a couple comments here. First of all, John says that there are so many wars that are constantly happening around the world. Ukraine is just one of them. So John catches up once a week reading the Sunday paper, and he often only reads the beginning and the end of the story. But Bree says that this is a common topic in the rooms right now in both the United States and Europe, and I can believe that. The thing though here's where I think sometimes is we don't talk about it because we are, especially in the United States, I don't know how other countries might be, but especially in the United States, we are so divided about everything. And even the what we believe about what's happening in the world are so divergent that sometimes, like when it came to the pandemic, for example, it was impossible to have conversations because you didn't know what reality a person might be in, honestly.
Right. Yes.
And
easier to avoid the topic.
it was, and too bad, because it shouldn't have been that way. And I think that has kind of spilled over to almost everything.
Agreed.
I know at work we're trying our best to deal with just the general anxiety that people have about returning to the office, for example.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And, as a manager, I'm dealing with this, and there are some very real anxiety about going from working by yourself in your home for 2 years straight and suddenly being around people. I want to tell you, there are some people who just don't want to go back to the office because they like working at home, but there are others who have some very real, genuine fear and anxiety, and you can see in their face that it's real.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God. And so yeah, and I was talking to a colleague just the other day, and I said, you know what? I'm sure that I have a lot of this too. I just don't recognize it right away. It takes me a while to recognize what's going on. But this is the world that we live in now. 2 years of a pandemic, divisive politics.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe this. We don't all live in the same reality. That's the way I'm going to put it.
Yes.
And and we have to somehow in recovery get along and connect with each other and talk about whatever we're feeling and dealing with. And these things are part of that, and it can be difficult to broach. But I'm glad that it's being talked about in the rooms.
Mm-hmm. And Raymond says, I think it's important we keep politics out of the meetings, as in the preamble. I have stopped watching the news, now 32 years sober, and I have to let go.
Yeah.
That's how you stay sober.
Well, and I agree. I mean, but how you define politics? I mean, I think that if this is really tough. So if there's something that's going on that is causing, I don't know, this is how I feel about it anyway. If there's something that's going on, it's a world event. Maybe it's World War II or World War III. Maybe, and it's bothering somebody. Maybe they've lost a loved one or something. I think it's fair game to talk about how whatever that experience is affecting you. What I think would not be fair game would be to promote a particular ideology or political view or belief. But there's got to be facts. Like if a hurricane, storm runs through your state, or a tornado, I mean, that's a fact. And you've been impacted by it and you've experienced some trauma. And if there's a global pandemic that has forced you into isolation, or a war that is causing you to worry about your own security, those are facts that you have to deal with. And I think it's okay to talk about how your feelings are about those things, how they're impacting your sobriety. And I don't think that that would be considered politics. Maybe if
Agreed.
you argued about what to do about those things would be
Or if
political.
you blamed a certain group for it.
Yeah.
I think when we use me, me, how it affects me, that's the best way to talk about things and without going into detail. And can we read what
Bree?
Bubbles One Bree said? The perception of reality is skewed due to the massive 24-hour news cycle. Good point, John. All we truly have is our own perception of the truth.
Yeah. Well, interesting
Yeah.
comments here. John
Everybody
does.
has their own perception of the
John
truth.
doesn't feel guilty about something that's out of his control. Now that's a good point too. And yeah, God, that's the old the Serenity Prayer actually. And as an atheist, and I still value the Serenity Prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Right.
And that
Doesn't
has
mean
always.
those feelings aren't going to come up. I
Yep.
mean, they're valid
Yep.
feelings. Yep.
Yep. Yes, Joe, this is live. Joe, it is live. Why would you not think it is live? So anyway, it's a live stream, so we are live.
And you can call in to
You can call in
899-8278.
Yep, call in. We'd be glad to hear from you. Well, let me read some things about this doom scrolling article and what it says you can do about it. First, you mentioned empathy. It says empathy is a good trait which helps us live successfully with others and promotes a flourishing society. However, excessive empathy when viewing tragic world events on the news may lead to ruminating on negative thoughts, which have an impact on our mental health and well-being. Constantly thinking negative thoughts can lead to depression or anxiety. So it says that reset your brain. So what can we do about it? It's important to avoid obsessive doom scrolling, but instead show resilience and gain mastery over the situation. To do that, you need to have some positive moments of respite. So try to schedule something you enjoy, which relaxes and de-stresses you daily, such as reading a good book, watching a fun film, visiting friends and family, or mindfulness training. Exercise or learning something new, such as a different language or a musical instrument, can also be good for boosting both mood as well as cognition. I like that.
I like that too. I like the fact that it's all about chemicals. It's all
Yeah.
about chemicals in the brain. And how do we get more serotonin? Like what do we do the things that bring more and less of the things that take away? Like you said, your recovery capital, just make sure your capital is filled to the brim with serotonin in whatever method that works. And when it's depleted, like mine has been recently, I've just had to say no to a lot of things that I just had to stay home and recharge. I was like, I'm just done. I'm done. When I feel that way, I stop scrolling and I don't answer the phone. I just need to recharge. I tend to be a workaholic. So I just take a day, like Saturdays, I don't get in the car for the most part. I don't work. I just do what I want to do. And that's kind of one way I deal with it. I take a day to recharge.
So I had something interesting happen to me this week. My car was stolen. And my car was stolen.
Go back. Go back. What happened?
Well, I was going to go to the dentist, and I walked outside to go to my car, and I realized it wasn't there. I said, "Oh my God, somebody stole my car!" And so I told my wife Susan. I said, "Sweetie, I need to get to the dentist." And she says, "Oh my gosh, my car! Someone stole my car. I need to get to the dentist." So we were rushing around to get me to the dentist. And I said, "Wait a second! I think I need to call the police." And so it canceled my dental appointment. So I did. I called the cops. But here's the thing. At first I thought, I want a car. I need a car. And I was scrolling through, looking at all the cars, and they are so expensive. And I don't really want a car payment. I don't want to spend gazillions of dollars on some car that's just going to give me mechanical problems and stuff. So I kind of am deciding I'm going to live without a car. Use my wife's car when I need to. But also I've got Uber and I've got a bicycle.
Yes.
And I'm thinking that I can learn to like this new lifestyle without a car, and we'll just see how it works. Because in Kansas City, it's really not so easy getting around without a car. But I think,
Can we place dibs on how long it's going to take in the car? I'm going to say 4 weeks.
yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but I only have to go to the office. It's going to start in April. I only have to go to the office once a week, so I can Uber back and forth to the office that one day a week. You know, it's not a big deal. And then my wife and I can go to the grocery store together in her car. If I want to go someplace to do something, usually it's pretty close around. On a weekend, I can take my bike. I can take my bike to the gym, and that'll be good for me now that the weather's getting nice. Or I can just take a bus or whatever. There's different ways to get around. I think it could help me with my mental health and physical health.
True. I agree on that.
You know, and I don't have to worry about, you know, putting gas in the car or anything like that. So anyway, I'm just kind of taking a positive spin on it. I'm just thinking, all right, I'm going to just try something new here. I'm going to just try living without a car. Let's live the hell with
Did
it.
they find the car? Was it? Did you?
Oh no, they will never find it. I mean, God bless and I say as an atheist, the police in Kansas City, Missouri, but they have far more serious crimes to deal with than looking for somebody's car. So they'll never find it. It's probably just trash somewhere. I mean, it was a very old car. It was like 16 years old, and it was kind of rusting out. I was only hoping to get a couple more years out of it anyway.
And it was in your driveway?
No, it was on the street. I park on the street.
Okay.
Anyway, enough. I just mentioned that as just I'm trying to say that, you know, that sometimes things happen that can be stressful or kind of fill you with some anxiety or anger or whatever. But if I stop and think about it and how and what I really want to do, and just not rush into trying to fix whatever the problem is, and just kind of let time take care of things, I just kind of feel better about it. And so I've kind of got myself comfortable with not having a car. And I'm kind of looking forward to the experience, to be honest with you, to see how it works. And I'm thinking that this will just be a good way to kind of force myself to kind of get some more exercise and stuff. So I've been without a car before. When I was younger, I used to take the bus all over the place. So
Well, you know, it's a challenge. It'll be like something new, a new challenge.
yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah. Anyway, so I kind of got off topic there, but I was just kind of thinking about this a little bit about, you know, just, you know, crap that goes on in the world. People steal cars. People.
Well, that's a huge stressor. I mean,
Yeah,
we're talking about how do we handle the stress of, you know, daily living, and that's a big one.
that is.
The shock that you must have felt when you got out there and was like, it's not here.
Yeah, you know, you're right. It is part of that. And, you know, there has been a lot of change because of the pandemic in my own personal life. For one thing, my wife got laid off from her job because of the pandemic. And so for really 2 years, because of the length of time that she had on the job, they were paying her her salary, regular salary. But now that is done. So now we've lost her salary, and she's on my insurance plan now at work. So we have a reduced income and more expenses. So that is a direct result of world events. Yes. And at the age she is, I think that she's just going to kind of consider this her retirement. So she'll start, you know, it's a little early, so she'll start drawing some money out of her retirement. That'll help out a little bit. So we're going to be just fine. But boy, that was something we weren't expecting, you know, to happen. But it's one of those things, and it is a stressor. I mean, we still talk about it today. We have to talk about, you know, like the car payment with what we're dealing with now and all of that. But fortunately, we have a good relationship. We can talk about things like that and agree, and it's worked out okay. But it definitely is something that causes some stress. We had to talk about finances, and I never liked doing that.
Yeah, and it's really paring down what you want versus what you need.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
And we live in such luxury for the most part, and have so much that we don't even realize that we have so much, you know, until we pare it down and see what we can really live without.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. And I've done that with time too. Because one thing that was stressing me out over the last couple of years is I was overextending myself in different places. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't have enough time to do all the things that I was signed up to do.
Right.
And I wasn't doing them. And I felt bad about not doing them. And
Right.
other people were wanting me to do these things. And so I really need to cut a lot of stuff out. And I did that. And so focusing on the podcast, this is my big focus in my life outside of my marriage and my job is the podcast. And I do spend a lot of time with it, but it's been rewarding. So I had to cut a lot of other stuff out though to devote to this. And like I say, I've just kind of turned this into a community that is good for me, but
Yeah.
and hopefully good for other people as well. So
I would love
well,
to hear from anyone if they would call in.
yeah, please call in 844-899-8278. So let's see what else this article has to say about resetting your brain. It says if you continue to be disturbed by doom scrolling, you may wish to contact a clinical psychologist who can help you reduce this activity and its effects through the use of cognitive behavioral therapy. Interestingly, one study showed it is possible to improve your mood through cognitive mood induction, rewarding people for their performance on a cognitive test. Well, I've learned some cognitive behavioral therapy kind of tools, I guess, through Smart Recovery, and I really haven't. It's kind of funny. I don't reach out for those very often. I don't know why. Probably because I'm not in the habit of doing that, and I seem to rely more on just the basic kind of stuff I've always learned from talking to people over the years. And AA is, not being able to let things go, not grabbing onto thoughts like so much, and
Yes.
and it,
Training, mindfulness.
yeah, and maybe there's some CBT involved with that, but it's just easier for me to think in terms of not grabbing on, not latching on to some thought, I guess. And I guess over the years, I have learned to at some point let go of things that I can't control.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that I do it immediately and I'm always so great at it, but I do eventually get to that point. And that is probably the one thing that helps me more than anything is the ability to do that. And I will tell you that if there is an exercise to help me with that, it would be meditating.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be meditating would be the way that I exercise that part of my brain that allows me to let go of things, because it's through meditating that you recognize that thoughts just pop into your head and they just happen because your brain is just constantly working, just
Yes.
constantly throwing thoughts around, and your brain does that. But that doesn't mean that you have to react to a thought. You can just kind of let it go. And honestly, that is part of cognitive behavioral therapy. When I'm thinking about it, there's this tool in Smart Recovery that where you deal with your thoughts and your feelings and the behaviors that come from that. And that's pretty much what this is. That kind of detaching from thoughts is kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing can apply to world events.
Very true. Very true.
Just as simple as that.
I think we're bombarded by so much on a daily basis through so many levels, social media, everything that we do, work, the world, everything is just um, slowing down, and doing a meditative practice is really healing. And is there a certain meditation that you like?
No, when I do meditate, which honestly has been a while, but and Bree has actually mentioned something. She does it on her bike. I actually consider running to be a meditation for me. When I run, I get into a pattern where I'm just kind of focusing on what my body is doing, and I'm not
Yeah.
really having to, it just kind of clears my mind. But other sort of meditation for me is just being aware of my thoughts and letting them flow like a leaf on a stream. We have a caller from Winnipeg, and I know it happens. Oh, I don't know who this is actually from Winnipeg. I know someone from Winnipeg. Let's see. Hello, Winnipeg. How you doing?
Hi, John. It's Michelle from Winnipeg.
I knew it was Michelle. How are you, Michelle?
I'm fine. Wonderful. All good here. I'm. Hold on. I'm having
Okay.
trouble with my. I don't know how to do this actually.
Okay.
Getting a lot of feedback.
Oh. Oh, you might have to turn off
Okay.
if you have the thing playing on your computer or something. Just turn it off, and you'll hear it through your phone.
Okay. Okay. I'll turn this off.
But you sound
Are
loud
you
and
there?
clear. Yep, I'm here.
Great. Wonderful topic. I'm an American living in Canada. So over the past few years, I vote out of the U.S. I feel so like a U.S. person, but I've honestly had to turn off the news from the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to anybody.
Uh-huh.
I just, at least from U.S. sources. So I get my news more through international sources that I feel are reputable, or that I can at least know that I feel like they're giving facts instead of opinions. And also, I just wanted to mention that something you mentioned, John, too, was the partisanship and the fighting. That really took a toll, I feel, on me and the entire society, and that has created so much stress. I mean, even within my own family during the last presidency. I mean, it was awful. There were people, we didn't talk to each other for a long time. So there's like layers of an onion with all this, and it creates so much stress that I've had to just stop it because I'm newly sober and I can't afford to actually even engage with that kind of news. Not that I don't care about people, but not with that kind of news.
Yeah. I like that you're doing that and that you're newly sober and that you know that. And that's how you take care of yourself, to stay sober. That's awesome.
It's
Well,
interesting.
it's just been hard on a lot of people, all the fighting.
Mhm.
It is hard.
Agreed.
It's interesting too. There was actually a time that I wasn't listening to the news in the United States, and I was listening to it from Canada because I got a different perspective that was, I thought, more honest and objective to what was happening. And I'll tell you what it was. And might be a little political for sure, but it was the drumbeat to the war in Iraq. And when that was going on in the United States,
Right.
yeah, when that was going on in the United States, I had to turn the news off. And I listened to news from outside the United States, and it was a completely different perspective to what I was hearing here. And I don't know. I did that. I did that too, Michelle. It's weird. It's weird. It's like we were talking about these different realities that we can live in.
Yes.
It's odd that we have this disconnect of I guess you can have different opinions about things, but it seems like there's got to be some way where there's got to be one set of facts. There's got to be,
Right.
it's got to be something that's
Right.
true. And
Yeah.
and that's what's so weird about the world now is because of how information is dispersed, not everything you read is actually true, and not everybody's consuming the same information that's being thrown out there.
Right.
And there's a lot of disinformation. It's just bizarre. It's just really bizarre. And I think,
And it's so revealing. It's so revealing of society. In these factions, it's very revealing. I mean, and it's almost that it's good for us to know that it's really there. It's really all out there. And I did make the mistake of reading about what this incredible judge is going through in her.
Yeah, Mary was talking about that too.
I could feel that it's visceral, right? I could feel the fury coming. And that's very upsetting. It's so, again, I have to be careful with that and just not go there, because once that visceral rage comes, my mental health just, I don't want my sobriety to go down that road.
Agreed.
It's interesting. I mean,
it's good that you acknowledge
Mary?
that. It's good that you acknowledge that, and that you know what works for you, and you're being true to yourself that way.
Yeah. And I've been to a couple of meetings, and even here in Canada, that there's been some, I call them shots across the bow of American politics coming in.
Really?
And it's very disturbing. I mean, it's really disturbing. So, and of
It's
course,
so
it was
interesting.
on, quote, the other side that I am. But
it is interesting. Something is different. You never heard, when I was going to meetings, I'd say from 1988 to the 1990s, I never heard anybody talking in a meeting about some event in the world. I think it changed after the attacks in September 11th of 2001.
Oh.
I remember going to a meeting and everybody was like, dealing with that. That was I think
Right.
the first time ever I was in an AA meeting where there was a world event that we were coming together about. I'm sure during World War
Right.
II that
Right.
there were discussions in AA meetings and other recovery meetings that had to do with dealing with that conflict and the death and everything that was going on,
Right.
the fear. But yeah, I never personally experienced that until now, and it seems like now it's more intense than ever, isn't it?
Yes.
It is. I mean, and also like where I am in Manitoba, there is a very strong Ukrainian community here. I mean, it's massive in my province. So I do get a lot of it in the meetings, not like they're taking sides or anything, but people talking about how stressful it is with relatives and things like that. And that I think that and the group gives a lot of support to those people. So I think that, it is a collective thing here in Manitoba, particularly. I know also in Saskatchewan, we have great ties to the Ukraine.
Mm.
So it's very personal. So there's a lot of suffering going on, and I feel that's, I don't know, it's not brought up as a political thing. It's brought up as someone having really hard feelings, suffering with it.
And I think that's legitimate. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, John?
I think that's legitimate discussion topic for a meeting too. I do.
Yeah, I do too. Anyway, well, thank you all for this. It's very interesting.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Michelle, for calling in.
A lot of us.
Yeah, it was great to hear from you.
Yeah, and thank you guys. Great. I appreciate this. Okay.
Hopefully I'll
Bye-bye.
see you Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday I'll be there.
Good. Okay. Somebody's got to give John Huey some crap. So show up. Actually, I don't think. Bye, Michelle. I don't think he's going to talk about anything that is going to be controversial, but he might. You never know. So anyway, okay. Anyway, so now where are we? So it says in this other article, to manage well-being, that many people try to dismiss their feelings by saying things like, I'm being silly. There are people who are really struggling in the world. While undoubtedly there are others suffering, this doesn't invalidate the feelings you have. And that's what I was kind of talking about earlier. I always feel that sense that why am I complaining? I really don't have it that bad. Why am I even talking about this? I'm not the person who's being bombed.
Yeah.
But it's like it says here that, it doesn't invalidate the feelings that you do have. And because we are empathetic and we do see these images, we can't help but have some feeling about them. So
it's what we do with them and how we deal with them and what we use to check out, like, because I always want to check out if it gets difficult like that. Like, I just have to make sure my checking out is good for me.
Yep. Yeah.
The escapism is good. Yep.
Joe mentions the attitude of gratitude. Again, I think it's a good technique. It's a good way of kind of reshaping your thinking, is to, focus on something to be grateful for. I need to be careful, sometimes though, to just say, to use that as a way of not dealing with whatever it is that is bothering me, I guess, because it's easy to just to do that, to say, okay, that doesn't count. What my feeling about something doesn't count because I have all this other stuff to be grateful for. So there's that danger, but that doesn't mean that it's not a good little mental trick to say, you know what, let's start thinking about some things that are good, that are going on. And I kind of did that with the stolen car. I had the one thing, it really sucked that my car was stolen, and on the other hand, I started thinking about the positives I do have in my life and how I can live without the car. And it was just a nice way to balance it out. So it's like, yeah, I have legitimate feelings of being pissed off and upset about my car being stolen. I don't like that. And I had to deal with the thinking about what to do about it and the finances and all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, I am grateful that, you know what, I don't really need a car. I mean, it's nice to have one, but it's not like necessary to live. I can do without it, and I might find that I enjoy it. I actually Googled how to live without a car. It's like it's possible. It is possible.
I love the gratitude. If I always try to think of 3 things I'm grateful for when I'm in a funk, so that, they say you get what you focus on, and that your thoughts become your reality. And so I'm just careful that I'm affirming what I do have, and I'm affirming the good, not invalidating the the opposite, but to affirm what I do want to think about. Like, if I don't want to think about this, then how do I want to feel? You know, and then I focus on that. Because I'm really good with figuring out the problem, but then it's when it's creating the solution, it's a different picture. So um, I try to always focus on the solution as much as I focus on the problem.
Fred was asking if I would post those articles that I talked about on the Beyond Belief Sobriety website. I will, and I'll post them in our Facebook group as well. And I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and prepare this episode that we're doing to go ahead and post it on the website, so that I can put the articles in there with it and everything along the lines. My plan really is to post these live streams as audio podcast as well, so we can get, them dispersed more widely rather than just being viewed, so that you'll see the video version here on YouTube and wherever, and Facebook, but also you'll be able to listen to the audio wherever you download your podcast. Oh, Joe, I did not know that. Joe lost his job 3 months ago. No job for 1.5 months. The only job I could get was a third less pay. So I try to think that all my bills are barely paid. I do have weekends off. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Yeah. We just have to, it's, dealing with life like that. And,
That's gratitude. Your bills are paid and you have weekends off. I mean, that's a good way to kind of re-language it.
yeah. The stage of life that my wife and I are in, when she lost her job, I mean, there's just no way to get another job, really. I mean, I guess she could, but at this point it just seemed like, if you really don't have to work, let's see if we can get by with you not working. And it is tough. I mean, it's not easy, and it's not what we were planning. But on the other hand, we're glad that we can somehow do it. I mean, we're gonna make it. We're gonna be fine. But again, I'm fortunate there. So Joe, I'm sorry. I am sorry that you lost your job. I know that it's hard, and we went through that actually with my wife too when she first lost her job. It was distressing, because it was a shock to what. It was a shock to our system. We weren't expecting that to happen. We thought that we would work until we were ready to retire. But nothing is guaranteed like that. So John says gratitude is a powerful tool for stress relief. Maybe we should have just had a gratitude meeting today. But yeah, it can be, for sure. No doubt about it. I remember many times where people would tell me just to make a list of things that I'm grateful for. And that was useful. And I actually recall very early on in my sobriety that wasn't a very easy thing to do. It was hard for me to think about anything positive about myself or my life.
Yeah.
It was a difficult exercise, where it's a little bit easier now. So,
Well, I'm grateful for, can I just say a couple things?
sure.
Okay. I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have wonderful birds and squirrels to look at outside my window at the bird feeder while we're talking. And I'm grateful that I guess I feel that no matter what happens that I'm going to be okay, that I've been through so many challenges that I know that whatever challenge does come up, I've always gotten through them. I wouldn't be sitting here if I hadn't, and that the odds are good that, um, and also that I appreciate the good times when challenges aren't happening. Like, I used to have a sponsor that always said, celebrate the good times because, the hard times are coming our way. So when it's a good time, let's celebrate. Let's celebrate that. And the main thing is, I'm not going to get drunk over anything today. There's nothing worth losing my sobriety over today. And I know that. And that's a gift to be grateful for right there.
True. Yeah. Same here. I can't think of anything that's going to cause me to, drink over any of this now. That wasn't always true. I mean, there was a time when my sobriety is a lot more fragile than it is now.
Yeah.
But that's not the case now. It is something to be grateful for, to have gone past that.
Yeah. I know that there's not a solution in anything containing alcohol. I know that that's not a solution. And that's a gift to know that I can go a million places, but that isn't going to help. It's only going to make everything worse. Everything.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's key. I mean, that's recovery right there. That's in my opinion, what it's all about is, like they say, living life on life's terms,
Yes.
and not having to avoid reality either through drinking or drugs or other behaviors or avoidance. I mean, the beauty of what this experience that I've had, it's been all about facing reality, I guess, dealing with reality.
Yeah. Yep. And I always say, someone told me, be where your feet are. Like, where are your feet right now? Like, just stay in this moment. And I've heard people say, my higher power is the present moment. And I like that. I like that. The present moment always is, and it is real. The present moment is real. And I
Yep.
can always count on that.
Yep. And if you try, you can bring yourself to that moment, by focusing on something. Thank goodness I have a dog. I think my dog helps me more than anything else. I've taken her for a walk. It's just a way to change whatever view I have going on at any moment. And I take her for a walk. She jumps up and down. She's happy. And then you go for the walk and you get to see things and do things. And it's just a great way to kind of change your perspective and thought process, so
Yeah.
get a dog.
Dogs are wonderful in so many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a seminar, or not a seminar, but a workshop, I guess, at the Toronto ICSA conference about pets and recovery. And and they were talking all about the value of having pets and how it helps that person's recovery, and I can certainly agree with that and see.
Oh, absolutely.
That.
Yeah. I have a cat now. I haven't had a dog in a while, and I'm so glad she's still around. It's an awesome.
Yeah. So I guess we're coming up now the last 7 minutes or so. Let's see, anything else that we need to, is there anything that we might want to cover here that we haven't really dealt with, or is anybody want to call in or have any final comments on any of this? I hope that you've enjoyed the conversation. I hope this hasn't brought on any additional stress for people having to think about this. That certainly wasn't the intention. And I hope that it didn't seem like it was too political or that I got too political with anything. I really tried not to. But I think that Mary, you had a really good idea to talk about this because obviously, what happens in the world affects our moods and our feelings and our thoughts and our actions and our behaviors. No doubt about it.
And we're not the only ones thinking whatever it is. It's usually, I always say, if it's affecting me, it's surely affecting other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So John likes your comment about the higher powers of the present moment. Never thought of that. So true. And cats are soothing to me. My cats are too, except for one of them broke my docking station yesterday or the other day. And it was like, she likes to, it was my fault though, for letting her sit on my laptop. I shouldn't do that. And he Bobbert dog sits, pooches. They're great.
Yeah, they are great. Yeah.
Thank you for all these comments. And good, John. I'm glad that this was helpful. I got to laugh a few times here today, which is good. It's always great to laugh. Barb, thank you for that comment that it helped you identify feelings that you bury. And Joe said it was a nice, pleasant Saturday morning. And it's good to have you here, Joe. I took a break from the live streams for a while. I really missed you and this connection with people. So I'm really happy that we're doing this again. Tim says, thank you both for the connection with what is real. So nice. How do I see the other comments? I don't know, Joe. I don't know how I see the other comments. What happens is when I'm here, I have this like studio thing and all the comments are going down the side and I can highlight them and put them up on the screen. Oh, Lisa, nice to see you there. I did not know you were there. It's good to have you there. So I'm glad that you enjoyed listening. So it's almost like, Mary, we can't do anything wrong on a live stream.
Yeah, that's not true at all. Because we already did it like the first one.
Oh, well, no, that was cool. Everybody was very understanding. That was our first one. We had a little technical issues, but boy, we got around those, and you look great and sound great.
That was a miracle. That's all I can say. And then my neighbor has chosen to start chopping down a tree with an electric something. So if you hear anything in the background, that's what's happening.
Well, I haven't heard.
Okay, good, because it's chopping down a tree right over the fence. And I just want to say that I thank you all for being here. I've never done this sort of thing before. Never done a live stream. Never really been on camera except on a Zoom call. I'm not a tech person, so I've gotten a lot of assistance in things. And I loved listening to you and Angela during COVID. I mean, every Friday night I was there. Not every, but y'all were really like something to look forward to. And so when I heard that you wanted a host, I just thought, I was sort of like, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then I was like, every reason why I shouldn't do it came up. And I really appreciate just being able to be here. It's like a challenge. It's a growth situation. Like you have a challenge to not have a car. I have a challenge to do this on Saturdays and see how it works out. And to, someone in one of my home groups says, dare to suck. And so it's like a challenge to have the courage, to suck. And so it's all part of being a human. And so that's what I'm doing.
Well, I'm really glad that you reached out. I've always loved everything that you've ever had to say. And I thought that, yeah, she'd be perfect for this. You've got such a nice personality. You're so warm and friendly and thoughtful. So I knew that I would get along with you just fine. And that other people would love to hear from you. So.
Well,
I'm glad that you're here.
Would get along with you. That's all I have to say.
On a bad day, maybe not. But thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. So anyway, I guess we can go ahead and close on out now. So we'll be back again next Tuesday. Not next Tuesday, next Saturday. Mary's gonna seek out a guest.
Yeah,
so
I'll bring someone in from somewhere. I have no idea, but someone will be here to tell their story.
They'll share their story for 20 or 30 minutes, and then we'll have a conversation flow from there. That's my favorite kind of podcast to do is someone shares their story and then you talk about it. It's you don't have to prepare for it. You just identify and relate with that person. So, you're welcome, Raymond. And so nice to have you. You live in Spain. Gosh, Spain is such a beautiful place. I want to go there sometime. So I'm glad that this timing works for you. That's one reason we wanted to do it. It works for us too. And, so I'm glad that it works for you and that people in Europe can participate. So anyway, we'll go ahead and sign off now. Tuesday, remember, is our meeting, with John Huey will be our guest speaker, and you can go to Facebook and look that up or just send me an email if you want information on that. And without any further ado, I guess I will say adios. We'll be talking to you next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.